We are getting some breaking news right now. ABC News has just confirmed that Sean Diddy Combs was arrested tonight in New York City. Sources say federal agents with Homeland Security investigations took him into custody. The charges are unclear at this time.
P Diddy has made it to every possible news headline because of a dirty secret of his. And who else possibly be linked to than the other most controversial celebrity of the past few years, Jeffrey Epstein? Were these two celebrities turned criminals linked with each other? What was their dark story that made them so controversial? Let's find out. Sean Combs, or P Diddy as he's famously known, was not born famous. His roots are far from the glitz and glamour he's surrounded by today. He came up from the harsh streets of Harlem, New York. Resilience was something Sean learned early. His father was killed when Sean was only 2 years old, and he went to live with his mother in one of New York's toughest neighborhoods. Imagine a little child with ambition in a world where his fate is continuously attempted to be crushed by that ambition. That's where Diddy's hunger began. Diddy knew that if he wanted out of the poverty cycle, he had to hustle more than anyone else would. He went to Mount St. Michael Academy, which was now considered one of the earliest signs of his ambition and drive. Then he attended Howard University, but left to pursue his dream in music. And what a chase it was. Coming from the streets as an intern at Uptown Records, Diddy quickly branded himself as an A&R representative before eventually becoming head before he left to create his own empire. Enter Bad Boy Records, a label that would change the course of hip-hop. Diddy launched careers for artists like the notorious B.I.G., Faith Evans, and Maze. More than a music producer, he became an icon, embedding himself in the fashion with Sean John and even vodka with Ciroc. His meteoric rise was not all about talent, but rather power. Power he wielded with confidence and made him one of the most influential people in entertainment. And with fame came a price. With the success came notorious lifestyle, complete with late night parties, celebrity romances, and connections far beyond the music world. The politician rubbing shoulders with the entrepreneur billionaire was only a part of Diddy's world.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time.
You're gonna hear about my parties, they're gonna be shutting them down, they're gonna probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we wanna have a good time.
And when power increased, so did access to the types of people whose secrets remain untold. Was it this world of wealth and privilege that made him turn a blind eye to some darker connections? Well, let's just say the stories associated with Diddy's circle only got murkier. Now let's change directions with Jeffrey Epstein. If Diddy is an American dream realized, Epstein's is a dark thriller where secrets hide in the closet behind every door.
Newly released court documents relating to the Jeffrey Epstein. They include associates, friends, and alleged victims of the disgraced billionaire who died in jail 5 years ago.
Epstein did not seem to be the self-made billionaire he portrayed himself to be. He was more of a puppeteer in a sick game, insidiously moving around the world's most wealthy and powerful individuals while maintaining their secrets with strong hands pulling strings of power.
State. The get-together more than a decade before Epstein pleaded guilty to prostitution charges in Florida. Both men are seen enjoying themselves.
Born in 1953, to the next 6 decades, Epstein began teaching math at the elite private school, Dalton School, located in Manhattan's Upper East Side, where he was given the dubious dismissal. He then entered finance and started working at Bear Stearns, forging connections he would later find extremely helpful in his dealings. He then went on to start his company, J. Epstein & Co., and he said he only invested in the super net worth of more than $1 billion. However, isn't that true? It is not wealth that Epstein traded, it was the network he was building, brick by brick. Epstein realized his relations with the rich and the mighty were his real currency. The network of friends he built by the 1990s included former presidents, scientists, celebrities, and royals. He fortified himself financially and socially as well. He held the keys to the deepest secrets of the rich, giving him safety, power, and access which very few have. Epstein's mansions, the one in Manhattan, the one in Palm Beach, and especially his private island in the US Virgin Islands, were venues for parties and networking opportunities. But perhaps
their opulence is on display. 2 pools, perfectly manicured beaches lined with palm trees, surrounded by turquoise water.
much darker things. At the heart of his empire was a human trafficking ring targeting young women and children. His private jet became infamous as the Lolita Express, transporting celebrities, politicians, and business leaders to his island. A black book with the names of many high-profile people was in his possession, and he likely used for his influence, protection, or something far worse. Insulated by his crimes, Epstein remained almost above the law until his arrest in July of 2019. Even death could not disintegrate some of his connections. So
they were very afraid of these very powerful people.
She would write down her phone number for a child, a young girl, and then I'd see that child at the house.
Wherever Epstein was touching down, he needed to have girls on constant call.
So where does Diddy fit into all of this? Well, the life of Diddy and Epstein may seem like two completely different worlds at first. The truth? They mingled in circles closer than one would be comfortable imagining. Elitist parties, big-name socializing, and high-class gatherings, they all, yes, all partied with the same group of high society. He was an emperor of music, he was a businessman, and business in such circles can translate to connections with powerful, sometimes devastating people. As Diddy built his empire, he threw enormous parties that weren't so much for fun as for real networking goldmines and places where actors, politicians, executives, and in some cases people with Epstein on their acquaintance sheets could be found. With his friend Leon Black tied to Epstein, it didn't seem so far-fetched that the two worlds potentially overlapped. It has been said that Epstein's parties and Diddy's own high-profile events shared guest lists, though no one has been able to prove that Diddy was a direct participant in Epstein's network. So can we dismiss these connections? It all starts to get very foggy when you think about just how many high-class members were a part of both groups. Epstein's private jet, appropriately called the Lolita Express, was far more than a means of transportation. It was instead a VIP entry pass to Epstein's twisted universe, which powerful people from all around the world allegedly boarded for flights into secret locations, in this case, his infamous private island. Celebrities and politicians were among the passengers, so rumor has it. While Diddy's name hasn't been connected in so many words to flight on the Lolita Express, he ran in the same circles where such flights were being whispered about. Now imagine being in an elitist social circle and realizing that jet meant something very interesting, but feigning inability to hear the whispers, you know? And Diddy, a man of powerful connections, wasn't about to be oblivious to rumors at this point. If not aboard the Lolita Express, did he ever question these individuals who were? Did he ever wondered what anyone might have known about that private travel of Epstein? Despite having no tangible evidence of Diddy being on Lolita Express, the fact that he lived in that elite circle left some questions. How much did he know about Epstein's world? Did he know what the jet was for? Or, like most, did he just want not to know? The infamous Black Book, a list of names that reads like who's who of global influence. Epstein's Black Book contained names of high-profile figures across politics, business, entertainment, and even academia. Some were acquaintances, others were close friends, and yet another group, perhaps pawns in Epstein's twisted game. And while Diddy's name doesn't appear in the book, many of his acquaintances do. People he knew, did business with, or shared social spaces with. Diddy's roster consisted of contacts like former President Bill Clinton, to whom Epstein was linked more than once. While Diddy said he was not on friendly terms with Epstein, it would be pretty hard to believe he knew nothing about some of Epstein's endeavors, given how many mutual acquaintances they possess. Was Diddy in the know, or was he simply just another celebrity who happened to rub shoulders with the people he shouldn't? Since the arrest and suicide of Epstein in custody event shrouded in conspiracy theories, the elite have all scrambled to distance themselves. Diddy remains charismatically mute, distancing himself without ever questioning the rumors outright. Many former friends of Epstein have claimed knowledge of nothing regarding his crimes, and one has to wonder, does Diddy know more? Was his silence a strategically kept spotlight off his connections? While Diddy has denied ever being close to Epstein, his silence is open to question. Perhaps he's hiding something much darker than his public persona would allow. His silence may be to protect himself, or has become a desperate attempt to flee scrutiny. The parties thrown by Diddy were legendary, a blend of Hollywood, hip-hop, and high society. These were gatherings of the stars, moguls, and influentials of the world, Miami, New York, and Los Angeles. So this wasn't your average networking party. This is where alliances were forged and where people such as Epstein found value. But in these parties, here's the interesting thing. Somebody knew somebody who knew another person. No list of complete strangers were ever sent. Whispers of Diddy's parties have been going around for so long, only that these whispers were those about something probably a little bit more than mere music and glamour. Behind the after-hours scenes, guest lists filled with celebrity faces and whispering conversations in the corners. What really happened? These parties were private, exclusive, and shielded from public sight, and thus people find themselves wondering who was there and who got to see what. And while we can't place Diddy squarely in the list of Epstein's known victims, a sense of secrecy and exclusivity that surrounded his social life didn't feel too wild of a guess. Could Epstein and Diddy be more connected than we realize, crossing paths in ways that we'd only imagine? With friends such as Leon Black, one of Epstein's closest associates, it doesn't really feel like much of a stretch to imagine that their social circles would have clashed heads on more than one occasion. Since Epstein's crimes were made public, Diddy has been mute, rarely touching the topic of his connection to the larger social circle that Epstein curated. It's as if the music mogul closed the book on any association, choosing to keep quiet rather than clarify or affirm. But why? What does this silence say? In Hollywood and high society, silence can often mean survival. Addressing any link to Epstein, however incidental, would be a PR catastrophe, affiliation that Diddy would not care to have attached to his brand. Still, it is eerily silent. We know he is connected with influential people, many of whom were associated with Epstein's infamy, his Black Book. If Diddy were innocent, wouldn't he want to clear his name? Or maybe he's protecting himself from something darker. Silence sometimes speaks louder than words, especially in the elite world where secrets tend to stay buried. Diddy's story is not unique, and behind all that glitter and glamour, there seems to be a dark side of the entertainment industry network of power and privilege where influence by silence and secrets are currency. Epstein's network included actors, executives, and public figures who all enjoyed the privileges of the elite, yet no one ever questioned the man himself. The Lolita Express, private island parties, even his charity work as disguised philanthropy, how many knew what actually went on behind closed doors? Whether direct or indirect, Diddy's connection to this world raises the question, how deep do these connections go in Hollywood? This is a disturbing reality. Diddy is not the first celebrity in Hollywood whose star-studded circle has a connection to Epstein's world. The question that needs answering are, did they all just ignore the warning signs, or is there something more at play? The death of Epstein was shrouded in mystery, and many believe it was an orchestrated event to cover up the exposure of powerful individuals. Epstein's suicide in a maximum security prison left countless questions unanswered, and to many, it seems as though it was the final chapter of a scandal that implicated some of the most influential people in the world. Since then, former friends and associates have rushed to distance themselves in hopes of avoiding scrutiny. Diddy too has tiptoed around this issue with great care, but is this a survival tactic or something much darker? While Epstein is gone, the secrets he may have harbored die with him, and those surrounding him are free to move ahead. But with the investigations into Epstein's circle ongoing, could Diddy's name ever be forthcoming? The world still needs to ask more questions than it can answer, and Diddy still keeps his name in the murky waters of this twisted tale. What does Epstein's possible relationship with Diddy tell us about the world of fame and power? It reminds us that at times, the elite play different roles, where through money and influence, one creates a shield against the law. In Diddy's rise from the streets of Harlem to the heights of fame lies an impressive tale already woven with connections, alliances, and relationships that blur the line between right and wrong. The world of power, money, and privilege in which Diddy and Epstein moved is certainly not unique to them. It is a world where image and connections often trump integrity. Is it in how much one sacrifices for the sake of remaining part of that world? And what do people overlook for the sake of their status? The truth about Epstein's network may slowly emerge when more information comes forth, but for the time being, Diddy's silence will remain as a powerful reminder of secrets well hidden beneath the glittering Hollywood facade. So what's your take? Was Diddy just another celebrity pawn in the game, or was there more to their relationship? With more secrets of Epstein's circle coming to light, who's next to get tangled up in the web of influence and lies? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for even more dives into the world of the rich, powerful, and questionable. Up next, let's uncover the dark connections of P Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein in high places.